Hey everybody, it's Free to Play Bust. In this one, we're going to be doing Left Pack Draft number 2. Um, we're kind of at this stage of the set to where I counted earlier, but I forgot what it was. But I think we've done like 65-ish Rising Tides expeditions. I feel like we've kind of covered everything there is to cover. And so now that we're kind of in this spot to where the spoiler season is starting, the new set will come out in the next couple weeks. I kind of feel like if we are running an expedition, like week one of a set, you might be getting like 10 points of value out of it. And I just kind of feel like expeditions at this point are only worth kind of like 1 or 2 points of value. And so I do think we can still kind of get a lot out of these left pack drafts. If it's not your thing, I apologize. The standard content should be coming back here in a couple weeks once the new cards come out. But as far as kind of things go from now until whatever Heart of the Mountain or whatever it was called, Call of the Mountain, the new set comes out. I'm going to just kind of stick to these left pack drafts and LOR Guardian drafts. I kind of have some just general strategy videos that I'm wanting to do here as well. And then as far as the kind of the release of the new cards go, I might make some comments on Twitter as far as the new my thoughts on some of the new cards. I'm not going to do the initial impressions videos on the cards, and then I'm planning on doing a text-based set review for Expedition. I think those things will just kind of pan out a little bit better with how it went with the last set of cards. I think with the last release schedule, they just did kind of like 1 or 2 cards every couple days, and then like 2 days before the set came out, they just dropped the whole thing, and so it was really tough for me to kind of get relevant stuff out fast enough. And so I think just doing the text-based strategy after the fact, and then kind of some comments here and there on Twitter are kind of the way to go to get the full value out of what I can provide you. But nonetheless, talking about value, here in left pack draft, we just take whatever is in the left pick. I do like these kind of drafts because it gives me an opportunity to talk about what I would actually prefer to take in that scenario. And then as kind of a second thing is, with kind of how our draft comes together differently than we would initially do it, kind of some of the different picks I would take at a different point throughout the run. And it does also give us a chance to try out cards we may not be specifically targeting in our normal drafts. And so if we aren't normally drafting Draven's Biggest Fan or Savage Reckoner, this run should give us a chance to just at least test them out a bit, see if it reinforces our feelings on their strength, or if we feel a little bit differently after getting to play them. And so here, there's kind of 2 picks that I would go for. I don't like Ancient Evil, and I don't like Tryndamere, so I think this is a pretty easy pass. The Garen is fine. This Crimson Guard, I think, actually pairs best with Fiora. It's just another way to just get a gigantic pile of barriers. But in general, I don't particularly like this card pool, and I would be taking this Scrapheap Draven. If you're familiar with the tier list I put out, I do believe Draven is up in tier 2, Crimson Guard is in tier 3, Tryndamere might have made his way to tier 3 as well. This probably is in 4. I would maybe give it a 3.5 to 4. I really just don't like this card pool. But over here on the left would be starting out with this Draven. And I like this because there's just a lot of card pools that this can morph into a good deck with, whether or not it's just building some kind of Draven-centric aggro deck, if it's following the Scrapheap theme of taking advantage of discards and then pairing with Piltover for like puff caps, or if it's still pairs well with like Vladimir and Swain, or if it comes down to something to where we just want to use Draven as a support champion, then Draven's Biggest Fan does move up in value, right? Because for the most part, we do talk about taking 3 of one champion and 1 of another. And then if we're only playing one Draven, having a way to access that Draven a little bit easier can be pretty powerful. And so I do like the Scrapheap pick here. And then paired up with the old Grand Moments Heimerdinger, probably also the champion I would take. I'm not a huge fan of the Sea Monster strategy, in particular Nautilus. He is okay. If I'm drafting Sea Monsters, I prefer it to be with Twisted Fate. And I just don't really like Nautilus. He plays too poorly if you aren't in Sea Monster strategy. Then this Death's Door's Thresh is always a reasonable kind of support pairing. This is the Shadow Isles card pool that just has all the removal spells in it, and this will just push you to a control deck. And so this Heimerdinger is pretty reasonable. A lot of what we like to do with Draven are go wide strategies, where we're trying to just fill up the entire board with units, and then take advantage of like the 4-cost Ogre or Decisive Maneuvers, Arena Battlecaster, whatever the cards are that give each of your units some kind of advantage. And so it is pretty easy to go wide with Heimerdinger. There is some synergy here between the Scrapheap theme we talked about with Draven and Chumpwump. There's some synergy between Draven making 0-cost spells for Heimerdinger, even though it's a pretty bad spell, and then Draven also makes spells for Puffcat Peddler. And so the thing I don't typically like about this strategy is Draven is a combat-centric champion where Heimerdinger is a spell-centric champion. And so a lot of the cards that we want in one deck we don't really want in the other. But if this was just a standard draft, this is the pile I would be taking. I think what we're going to run into here is this is going to be kind of 50-50 Draven Heimerdinger, to whereas if we were drafting it ourselves, we would probably focus extremely heavily on Noxus, or we'd focus extremely heavily on Piltover, and we wouldn't be kind of going 50-50 splits. But not a bad start to this kind of go wide strategy if we can make it if we can make it show up, like we can make it do things like this. The crowd favorite plays pretty well to both of these themes, kind of going wide as Draven likes to do, or flooding the board with bad spell created units out of this Heimerdinger. This is likely the pack I would end up taking either way. Not a huge fan of Transfusion or Nox and Fervor in these style of decks. I really want to be in either Vladimir or Swain if I'm playing one of these strategies. And then the Apprentice is always a welcome addition to Heimerdinger decks, but the Assembly is pretty terrible. Okay, looks like we're going to be branching out into Demacia as well. If this was a standard run, I would quickly snatch up both of these removal spells, and kind of regardless of how it would pan out here. We're not really dedicated to doing Draven things. We're not really dedicated to doing Heimerdinger things, but regardless of which one we're doing, we'd be happy to have removal spells in both of them. But depending on how aggressive things turn out here, the Screenfang Warden could be reasonable. It looks like our deck is going to start skewing higher, but we do still at least have the two 1-drops to kind of give us a resemblance of a curve. Okay. We are certainly playing Draven on 3 this game. This is also like it's kind of strange. Like this is kind of the point to where we'd have to decide if we are going all in on this Draven strategy, and this would be a reasonable set with it. In general, I would prefer this Relentless Pursuit pack, given kind of what our deck is doing. I don't expect too much Demacia to be showing up, and getting double attacks out of a board full of Heimer units or double attacks out of our aggressive deck is pretty big here. We could ignore this set down here. These are pretty bad. But this is, at least it's towards the aggressive end of things. Okay, reasonable set here. I don't know if we're going to find ways to take advantage of this Investigator, but Succession should play pretty reasonably here. I do always like this in our kind of spell-based decks. I prefer it in Lux, but it does the same thing in Heimerdinger, to where we're putting a unit on board while getting a spell for our champion. Because typically with these decks, if we're just playing spells like, like a Riposte, it kind of, takes some work to happen, and then it doesn't leave anything behind on the board. And Succession, most certainly puts a unit on board. I'm not sure if we'll be able to activate this across the run, but this is also the set of cards I would likely want to take. There's an argument for the Cythria Greenfang Warden in this kind of aggressive deck, but it seems like our 1-drops are kind of at least spoken for at this point. Okay. So yeah, either, given the makeup of the deck, I would prefer this Mystic Shot Flash of Brilliance. This is all around just the highest power set of cards, but we are getting a combat trick that plays well in go wide strategies along with a removal spell. We can't complain too much. Okay. And here I would love to take this Sump Dredger Gotcha. I haven't actually got, I don't think I've actually seen a Sump Dredger since it got reworked. I have high hopes on this card being just absolutely fantastic now, but Riot doesn't want me to draft it, so that's where we're at. We are, these cards are not what we want here. This Death Lotus, it does not play well to this strategy where we're going to have so many 1 health units. You can quickly find out that Death Lotus and Heimerdinger do not combo with each other. If you take a look at the health on all of the turrets, it's okay with D-Hex. And so this is not a card I would recommend picking up in this kind of strategy, but it's what we'll be making the best of here. Okay, Riot heard me bitching. We're gonna get access to a Sump Dredger, and the Vision should play okay here as well, with this deck's ability to go wide. This is probably the stack of cards I'd be taking in a regular draft. We're leaning more heavily towards being in this Scrapheap theme as opposed to being in a Heimerdinger deck. And here, these 2-drops will be a welcome addition. I don't like Blade's Edge unless we are either in a Gangplank Sejuani deck so that we can get the ticks on our opponent, or if we're in a nab deck, plunder deck, to where this can get some value outside of just dealing 1 damage to a unit. And then here, these are pretty mediocre units. This is a pretty okay pickup. All right, a Nox and Guillotine. Here, this one would be reasonably close. Flame Chompers is terrible. This is not really a card. I'm kind of interested if this discard theme sees some light in the future, but as it stands, Flame Chompers is just no good. But our deck does need a Nox and Guillotine, so that's a reasonable set. If this was the actual, given the way our deck stands here, I would love to pick up some Mystic Shots. The Benefactor is a kind of whatever 4-drop, but it is a way to get some card advantage. I'd probably just be taking these 2s, but it's tough to pass on a Guillotine when you don't have it. Man, I just gotta start talking about the cards I want, and then they just show up, right? So we're at least getting a Mystic Shot here. Don't think Plaza Guardian's going to be too good, but we also don't have too much top end, so we'll probably have to be happy to play him for 6 or 7 mana. I would really want this Chump Wump Conservator, but we're taking these. Oh, see, look at that. You just got to talk about the lack of top end in your deck and it shows up. I got to remember this for the future runs. I think they're listening to my recording. But Captain Ferris should win this pile of cards a game along the way. In this set here, we would certainly want the Academic Iron Ballista, but at least we get a combat trick out of this. Do we even have any elites? I think we might have 1 or 2. We've got a Vanguard Defender, this guy, and a Succession. We've got 3. Okay. All right. And so let's see. I think we want to pick up the Remembrance. It is the most powerful card out of these. This isn't really a Remembrance deck, but Flame Chompers is just a horrible, horrible card. I would be okay to pick up Vision. Radiant Strike for Riposte is kind of the weakest of the trades. The only combat tricks we have outside of this Radiant Strike are the One Brothers Bond and then the spinning axis generated by Draven. And so we would like to have a little bit more combat tricks, but the Radiant Strike should be okay here. And then I don't think we can really swap out if we're rating these on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is great, the Vanguard Squire is probably like a 6 and Flame Chompers is like a 9. Maybe we should do it the other way, right? That's the way people normally do it, where a 10 is good. Flame Chompers would be like, like a 2 or a 3, and this would be like a 4 or a 5. And so these are probably roughly equal quality in the deck that we've drafted. In general, Remembrance is just a lot stronger, but I think getting rid of this Flame Chompers is just ultimately our way to success here. Okay, this could have gone better, could have gone worse. I don't think this is a 7 winner like that Sejuani win we did last time, but I feel like we can get more than 0 out of this, and so that's always a lofty goal in Expedition, right? I feel like I can do better than 0 wins. All right. So let's see. I would love to see a Draven's Biggest Fan. I'm actually just going to get rid of all of these. We don't have. We should. We probably have to hang on to the 2-drop. I really want to just dig for Draven's Biggest Fan so that we can try to drop a Draven on 3. And then either open with it or see how turn 4 goes. We're on the evens here. But it's not high value enough to just hard mulligan our hand. Okay.
War Mason.
No value demolitionist is kind of whatever here. I think we have to just keep playing to our curve. I don't think we'll want to play the Warden on his 3. Just kind of depends on what units he plays, but I do want to play a full unit on 4.
Strike at their foundations.
Let's see what he does. If he just opens into this, we don't really care. If he can play some kind of aggressive draw here. Okay, it's going to probably force us to Radiant Strike this down. I think we at least want to go ahead and get value. We're not going to have enough units on board for me to be excited about this crowd favorite.
The few for the many.
Then, yeah, I think we're just going to have to remove this. And being like whatever kind of Fiora deck he's being, there's just too many chances for him to have Frostbites and Barriers to just blow us out with this Glory Seeker. So I think we'll be happy with this. This is kind of a different story. I think we want to just take the damage, and like we're not going to get a good crowd favorite this turn, but 2 turns from now. Like if we haven't lost our whole board by then, I think he'll be reasonable. We do need to draw a unit next turn, but okay, it's just going to blank our attack. Really wanted a unit.
By my honor, you must die.
Okay, well, I assume the way this turn's going to pan out is we're going to get a guillotine on both of his champions. But then we've really just drawn too much utility here. But I mean, we do have a Captain Farron in hand, so if we can just kind of slow this game down, we might be able to take it over with him. He closes games out extremely quickly.
Arrows at the ready.
Try me.
Show me your best.
Okay. You shouldn't have any way to be able to interact with these. There's no way to gain health in these champion sets, or factions, I should say.
Protect House Laurent.
Okay.
Stay safe, my friend.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be playing a Draven next turn. It's unfortunate to have this thing out here with 3 health, but
I stand for
I think we just have to get it down and pass. Do we ever want to Ranger's Resolve? I should have thought of that before I tried to just play units. I think we'd prefer to do it next turn. We're going to get a Ranger's Resolve on 1 unit here. We might get it on 2 units next turn. Okay. Do we ever want to vision this board? We do have like a big vision next turn. Okay, well, that answers that question. No, no, we do not. We do not, because we'll have the Draven and we can spinning axe away vision. But let's see how this goes. This does at least play around frostbites quite a bit. This is a reasonable pickup here since it'll be able to value block Draven through a vision. Well, we'll have 2 spinning axes though. No, it's not till he strikes. Death Lotus. Okay. Okay.
I'll break this siege.
It's fairly interesting here. It should, kill his archer and his Ramfang wolf. There is an argument to just wait until next turn.
Strength and grace, beauty in the blade.
So let's see. This thing is certainly blocking our Captain Farron now. And so how else does this go? He puts something he doesn't care about in front of Draven. Because I think I just kind of want to keep the Death Lotus until next turn. We just want an attack like this.
I'll protect the villages.
Okay.
Save the homestead.
You gotta get in for 4 damage. That's all we gotta do here. And then we can decimate him out. Oh, that's a way to do it.
Against the Laurent?
Okay, so what do we think about this Death Lotus again? This is kind of scary in the event of... I guess the question we have to ask is, like, can we ever beat a Battle Fury? And I think if he had Battle Fury, he would probably... well, no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't make a hook over... He'd still make the same hook.
What brings you here?
This is okay. Like, we're gonna win this game with Savage Reckoner. Shit, it's spinning axes here. Oh, hang on. Oh, God, I meant to play cards. Okay, he's doing stuff. He's doing stuff. It's like, oh shit, that gets scary. Okay, so now what do we think about Death Lotus? I think this is the way to go. Man, we almost fucked that up hard. So we'll lose this unit, take this down. Okay. It's fantastic. Get more stuff. Okay, well, I think we should probably at least get this off board. So we'll lose our Draven, but we get the trade. And I don't think we want to discard Vision. We discard another Spinning Axe.
Time for the moneymakers.
Okay.
Draven out.
Alright, this Reckoner's looking pretty good here. He's going to have a big open on his Bird Keeper.
Down. Good dog. Come on!
Okay.
Out of my way! Come here.
Oh, that's big. At least we can block it. You lost a card in the process. Alright, so he has to draw like a might. He has to draw like a burst way to get through. So it needs to be a might, otherwise he'll play a card and we'll just decimate. Okay. There's an argument to go ahead and gotcha this, but I don't think so. Okay. That should do it, boys. We achieved the 1 win mark. Nice. Real nice. Okay, Draven with the Legion Veteran removal spell. Seems reasonable to me. I think given like an actual run, I might prefer this Jinx. I don't know if that game, if we just didn't go wide as much as I wanted to because of like how the game played out, or if because like we can't actually go wide that well, and I just have Heimerdinger stuck in my head. But it seems like this, this Jinx set is what we'd probably be looking for. But this does have a removal spell, a pretty reasonable piece of top end in it. This is not the worst. Not the worst old left pack we could be taking. All right. The run continues. Yeah, I mean, I think these are interesting. Like, I wouldn't ever, set out to draft Draven Heimerdinger, and I feel like a lot of the times if we were doing these as, more serious runs, if you will, is we would just be like, well, okay, we have 3 Noxus cards in our deck. We might see a here. Let's look for ones. We'll keep Draven. We might see something like a like Nox and Guillotine and just take it, but otherwise just be 100% Heimerdinger deck. And so I think we do end up missing out on a lot of synergies and interactions if we don't, experiment a bit with the cards. Here, I skipped on the Urchin because we could play Succession on 2. We'll pick up a Spinning Axe on Draven that we can get a full value out of this Urchin for. Our hand's not bad enough to want to cycle any of this stuff away. What was this? Teemo Gangplank? Sure. There is an argument to just open and try to cycle out this Death Lotus and then get the full value gotcha here. But it's pretty tough for him to play a unit that interacts well with Draven. That's kind of, the idea of where, typically on a lot of turn 2s, we just Mystic Shot anything they play. The idea being we get a Urchin in a cycle, plus we would get this full value, if you will, gotcha on this turn. But nonetheless, this is a pretty tough board for him to interact with. So I think we're better off just playing the Draven.
You'll fight or you'll swim.
Works for me.
Attack formation. You barnacle.
Okay. He is playing Gangplank. All right. I forget how the Gangplank Puffcap interaction works. I think somebody in the comments explained it to me once, but the powder kegs work on skill cards, and I don't think Puffcaps are a skill. Was the way it was explained to me. Here, I'm not like super excited about trying to interact with this right now. I'd like to get on board more, but I'm not like I don't want to add Vanguard Squire. So let's just roll the dice. If we go into next turn with 3 spell mana, it's not the end of the world.
Seize the opportunity.
Do we ever want to just take this down? We could Spinning Axe out of Death Lotus and take this down.
What are you waiting for?
Then open with Draven next turn. Seems reasonable. Just the... I don't know. It seems moderately suspect. I'm just afraid of getting hit with like a Make It Rain or something and getting the entire play blown out. Oh, just straight up Heimerdinger? Okay. Okay.
Answers. I have them.
We can't play, like good spells, but we can certainly get value out of this Heimer right away. These zeros aren't particularly exciting, but they are certainly better than Flame Chompers.
God axes need victims.
Okay. I think we're ideally looking to get off a Brothers Bond here. I think this is pretty safe.
Ever consider a henching career?
And then if we just pass into his turn with a safe Heimerdinger, 3 spell mana, and a handful of spells, we're pretty okay with that if this attack just goes through.
Excuse you.
Would you switch? Interesting. Okay. I mean, it still feels like he's trying to try to make it rain on us, but there's even a chance it misses here. I'm not sure why he would rather lose Chumpwump as opposed to Yordle Grifter. Okay.
Idiots!
It's smaller than the diagram.
Works for me. Looking pretty good coming into this next turn. All the gotchas? Oh, snap. Oh, snap, boys. We're doing it.
Oh, if mushrooms could talk. Or whoops, am I right?
We'll go ahead and pop this. If he wants to, go ahead and burst out all these cards, pretty okay with it.
Right there. I've always been a fun guy.
Okay, our life total's pretty healthy. Not super worried about this Puffcap theme. Oh man, we're just gonna... Oh, this has two health. It's like we're just gonna get a knockout Death Lotus, right? If we're gonna get the blocks here and here, the Death Lotus won't hurt our units, and then we can just get Teemo with it. I think this is still fine. We just have to play 2 cards to do it. There we go, friend. We're gonna get him with the evolution turrets.
It's smaller than the diagram. A sturdy construction. Yeah.
We had 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. All right, boys.
I have a new method to evaluate.
I mean, I can imagine there's a world where you don't want to attack with this Heimer, but that involves things like playing a burst unit and giving it a combat trick. It's never enough to play around at this state of Runeterra.
Draven out?
I'm fine to add this Squire. We can still gotcha if that's what it comes down to this turn. We'll get to bank 3 spell mana this way, then play Captain Farron on his turn. He's going to have a tough time interacting with that, especially when I don't know what the 5 is. Quick attack. It's like we'll certainly be making some decimate plays. He's playing Teemo Gangplank. There's an argument to save this. We could just interact with this in combat as it stands, but like Teemo's a real problem. And this is the awkward thing with Draven's biggest fans. Like, I don't really want to be playing this one here, but you know, it's like if we ever want to play it and not draw Draven next turn, I've had that come up a lot more frequently than I'd like it to. Can I make that 4/4 Teemo? Oh, kill my Heimer. Okay. You did your work, friend. You did your work.
Magic has no place here.
Okay.
You started without
Okay.
me. Enough! I'll end this!
Alright. I was curious how that was going to go, because as to whether or not I wanted to get the 3/3 that makes detains into combat when we had Remembrance in our hand. Because we just didn't have to waste the brain power on it. Okay. Interesting set. We don't really have ways to take advantage of this. We do have the Remembrance. Did we end up picking up that one? We didn't. The make an expensive spell, Flash of Brilliance. So this isn't particularly good. I would like to pick up this Radiant Guardian. Our curve is a kind of a shit show, and he's extremely powerful. Although this Vanguard does play pretty well with a lot of what our deck's doing, and I worry more about the bottom end of our curve than I do the top end. This is technically an upgrade, but when we see something like Radiant Guardian, I think we might need to go after it. It's not particularly aggressive is my problem with it. And we do have at least some combos with the diver. Like we have a Vision, we have a Brothers Bond, the various what are they called? Spinning Axes from Draven, things like Death Lotus and Demolitionist, hitting this with Tough. Like we have combos with it. I guess our top end is kind of okay between the Reckoner and Fair and Heimer. I think we'll pick up this Diver. All right. Maybe we are on our way to 7. Doubt it, but... Interesting set. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if, like, how this works. Like, he picked Sejuani Lucian and then decided if Fiora was the way to go. Seems strange to me. This is one of these things I'm not 100% sure on what I like. I think, like, we're probably okay to just get rid of Crowd Favorite. I don't see a real need to keep a 4-drop with this kind of hand. But it's like one of these deals to where, like, we're going to draw a Draven that's probably just going to turn into a Whirling Axe. And is that, like, something that we want to have happen? Or do we want to cycle away the Draven to perhaps pick up a 2-drop knowing that we're going to draw one? I guess, I don't know, some math nerd can do the math better as to whether or not taking a random card for this Draven is better than at getting a 2 than putting a Draven on top of your deck on the second turn.
I'm out of play.
I would say mathematically, it's one of those deals just to where like, if you're familiar with playing Magic, the big thing with like fetch lands where people are like, it takes a land out of your deck, and it's just like a 0.75% chance to draw something else better. It's like, yeah, I mean, you technically do got to play to your edges, but the just playing to simply like playing a card just to get that amount of edge is probably just not worth it. I don't know. There was I guess there's kind of like toxicity in every community, but that was one of the things that always bothered me. Was there was a lot of Friday Night Magic champions that also thought they were Pro Tour champions, and listening to them talk was often painful.
Destruction feeds my
Sure.
fire.
Interesting. I don't. It's just gonna kill itself before our next turn rolls around, so we should still get a good open.
Draven.
Shit. It just scared me. I think a cat knocked a chair over upstairs. That's not something I approve of right there. I really want to hang on to this Draven. How bad is this combat though if we try to gotcha and he has a trick? I think we can try to just Radiant through this, but then we lose our Draven next turn is the problem here. Oh gosh. This is quite the board to be running into Ember Maiden. Where's our other Draven at? What happened here? Right, we... Oh, if you don't have him in hand or in play. I never realized that there was additional text on this guy. Somebody should have pointed this out to me like a year ago. I blame the followers. It's certainly all your faults. Draven to the top of your deck if you don't have him in hand or in play. So this was kind of like the point about this I didn't touch on was like Draven is kind of like, you know, the best card in our deck. He draws so many engines here. What, like, as opposed to, you know, cycling for that 2-drop, what happens if, you know, we play Draven and he dies?
Don't get in my way.
Then there's going to be we're going to want him to be you know, playing another copy, and that's kind of the argument to where it's like, well, do we really want to search for a 2-drop, or do we just want to have that second Draven in case something goes wrong with the first one? I guess that's not a relevant argument, right? Man, I've made so many plays that were like, well, I don't want to play Draven's biggest fan because we're going to draw Draven, and we already have like a Draven in play. Because there's a lot of times where you just don't want to draw Purling Axe. All right, well, it's good to know. Look at that. This is what we're doing left back runs for, boys. You gotta learn every once in a while. But here I'm okay with just giving up on Draven. I'm gonna gotcha his Lucian. I feel like we're going to get combat tricked and blown out here. This is what I was kind of worried about with saving my Draven against this thing. Was I was kind of worried about playing gotcha on this and having combat trick. Feels like there's just a high chance he has combat trick here to save his Lucian. Absolutely fine. Absolutely. Like, why? Why would you do this? Because you're just going to save your Fleet Feather Tracker that's going to die next turn to Ember Maiden.
Breathe it in.
Okay. So, a couple different things we could do. I think I think I really just want to get Heimerdinger down, but we just don't have any spells to play with it, and so it's going to be tough for us to get real value out of that. Much better letting us be aggressive here. I mean, I think a lot of times he just plays like a 4-4 or a 5-5 we can't deal with. We can deal with this.
they don't break, they'll
Let's go ahead and take this value, and then I assume he's going to want to trade.
For the many.
What do we think about just getting in with both? It does give him the option to 2-for-1 us with this Lancer, but we get to hit him to 5. We could take him to 4 if we want and try to kill with the Decimate, but the Captain Farron's kind of far away. Maybe we should just be doing that because he's gonna block the Dredger so frequently. Like, you know, if he's at 18, then he's certainly taking the value blocks. But at 9, there's a pretty good chance that he just eats the 2. This is one of these things to where, like, you can find it a lot more in Constructed. You can get in this situation a lot more frequently, but it's not really something as often here. All right, well, we're gonna need to wait till after combat to play this Heimer. If he has like an on guard, or more likely a Laurent duelist, running our Heimer in is pretty scary. Okay.
Eminently logical.
And then this, I think there's a chance we might be able to kill him next turn. That's unfortunate. We're going to Radiant to get this Senna out of here. I don't see much reason to make the Challenger.
Fight on!
Okay. As long as there's a good chance we just win this turn, and then as long as we don't die next turn, we should close this out with Captain Farron.
Bow to no one.
Okay, that's gonna end our turn here. We don't have to block this Sejuani, but it's starting to get kind of scary. I would at least put this one health unit in front of Sejuani so we don't just die to Fury of the North.
Been a long path to get here.
I'll break this siege.
Alright, so that's not a thing. He didn't open.
Bristle, attack!
So what is this? I mean, this certainly feels like a combat trick. I think we want to block here. Like, do we just want to block everything? We have all the tools to just kill him in hand. I think as long as we don't take damage, then we can probably just win the game. The scary combat trick being like a riposte or a prismatic barrier. But he can only save one of these units. And so I think we want to do it like this. So if he has, say, a Radiant Strike, then that's at least one we can play around. All of the other combat tricks are just going to outright win for him, except Radiant Strike or the thing that gives tough. And so I don't want to be putting 7 health on Sejuani. And I guess also this way, I'm more worried about the attack factors than the others, but this prevents overwhelm damage, even though he just got a bunch of overwhelm in. Okay.
I've come so far.
So here he has to have a Frostbite, or we'll kill him with
Clear it out.
Decimates.
Prove your worth.
Okay. Alright, that should do it. All right. Captain Farron's putting in work this run. Certainly putting in the work. So let's see who's on the left. Another Draven, as expected. It's a reasonable set of cards. I don't really want Suit Up, but it's kind of whatever. I think we would actually prefer this Jinx pack over here. But it's on the left. We're stacking these Dravens. Is what it is. Alright, boys. These drafts make me wonder if we ever actually draft well. I know, like up to this point, I think like 30-40% of the runs have gone to the final battle. But then there is that percentage where we aren't even getting to 2 and 3 wins. And so we've taken a left back draft to 7, and then the next one to 3. So maybe we need to reevaluate our draft skills and just take the left back all the time. Okay, this hand is not good. We need our 1s and 2s. All right, at least get a Draven on 3.
The party has arrived.
Interesting sets. I mean, that should be like a relentless card, so I think we'll be seeing like not so much Sleep Feather Trackers, but a lot of the scouts out of Demacia. It seems like something that really just wants to be a Nox and Might kind of thing, though.
This is awesome.
Victory requires a sharp blade.
This is the way I like to draft my relentless decks. You're gonna drop that Legion Drummer next turn.
Let the bloodshed begin.
Okay, we're playing both spells here.
I'll cut them apart.
Oh, interesting. Like, why didn't he Blaze Edge our Draven's biggest fan before he attacked? His board's too good. Like, there's an argument to just hit this Glory Seeker because the Katarina's going to be just a gigantic mana sink for this guy. Oh, he didn't play Blade's Edge because he didn't have any mana. But it's... I want to play this as well. We're going to have 4 mana next turn, so we can do this anyways. An argument to just hit this Glory Seeker and make him just do stuff with Katarina. But, like, when he has, like, this guy on board, I don't want his do stuff with Katarina to be just killing our units on our turn with a Glory Seeker.
Yeah, I'm out of play.
What you got, friend? I feel like there's a 0% chance you just pass here. Whoa, he just passes. Okay. Guess my math was wrong on that situation. Sure.
We protect these woods as they protect us.
The young fight for glory. I fought for legacy.
Strength and grace, beauty in the blade.
Okay. Okay.
He smells something.
For glory.
There goes the
Face
Draven.
me.
Interesting he didn't... Oh, he left Draven. Interesting he didn't get in bigger attacks with this. Well, we're certainly never getting a better Ranger's Resolve.
Yeah, okay.
This is okay.
More where that came from.
Cool. So we get the option to just attack here. I was ready to just trade this away. Get them all in. Everything can interact favorably with this. He knows we have Spinning Axe in our hand. This kind of reeks of a back-to-back if he's not going to play any cards. Like, if it's specifically back-to-back, it's bad. If he spends 2 cards to go 2 of our units, I don't care. But that is kind of bad to end with that. I think I'm okay to just do this. I'm okay to discard a Guillotine to Spinning Axe. At least this way he'll be left with 2 units with damage on them that we can Guillotine up next turn. This has to be like back-to-back, right? But it feels like if we just attack with some Dredger to try to play around back-to-back, we just fall too far behind. Like, he can just, like, ignore the attack, or he can just try to get the trade. Neither of which seem spectacularly good for us. Okay. Oh, I mean, we didn't do enough damage to this thing? That was bad. That was bad. We should have Spinning Axe onto this.
Is this the death you imagined?
Okay. Awkward. Do we just put Draven in front of this thing now and try to get our Reckoner down? Probably. Maybe he won't attack into Reckoner, but he probably will. Okay. Nice. Nice. And Captain Farron? Oh, snap. Captain Farron knows how to party at all the right times today.
How do my work? Come here.
What brings you here?
Okay.
Good dog.
Justice will be served!
Radiant's a pain in the ass. Okay, though. Lots of choices here. Like, if this happens, like, the thing I'm considering here is putting Draven in front of Radiant. We can technically just take 13 and try to kill him with Captain Farron next turn, because he's going to go up to 14. We make Captain Farron a 10 attack, and then we can still decimate this turn. The other kind of ideal is if we want to Remembrance. He only has 1 card in hand. I think I'm kind of okay with that. He just doesn't attack with everything. Okay.
This is gonna hurt for you.
Hang on, that's not enough damage. We need to guillotine this. Level 4? Okay.
My beautiful face.
Hook thing, not that exciting.
comes on.
Okay, and then we're just going to go for it next turn. As it stands, we can play double Decimate Brothers Bond and 2 Spinning Axes. Right, we can play the whole package. And this is looking to hit, we can hit here. So whatever we do with him is going to be -5. So we can do 2, 3, 4. Let's be 10, 11, 12. 12 plus 8, 20. We hit for 15. Okay. I think we just have to go for that.
No more talk.
Alright, well, let's see. I guess we don't have to like immediately blow our wad on this, but we need to get 1 additional damage in here. Eight. Okay. Cool. Alright. Look at us doing mathematics and shit. Alright. Let's see how these trades go. I think this is fine. This Death Lotus, like, it doesn't play well here. We've had a non-zero amount of success with Death Lotus, but it just doesn't play that well. We don't have enough spells for you to be good. Succession is probably the best of our 3 choices here. I would like to have more 1-drops, but I think getting rid of the Lotus is the best choice that we have. So many of these games have just been like, man, if we draw a 2-drop, this would be spectacular. Like if we just hit that 1, 2, 3 curve, we're looking so good. Kind of pulling off the Nox and Might strategy where we curve for a little bit and then just close the game out with overwhelms. We've also really pulled off that Captain Farron strategy where you just play Captain Farron and win the game, which is it's replicatable. Let's say that it's replicatable. Yes, well, Ash. Okay, this seems fine. Interesting. We can actually just not play Draven's Biggest Fan and then play Succession next turn if we want. I don't think I'm a huge fan of that. I also just don't think we want to be drawing another Draven.
The party has arrived.
So that's fine. Then I'm going to open here. If he plays something like Frostbite Archer, then it's just such a bad turn for us. If he plays like even like Aversion Sentry's not that great for us to see come down.
Ready for deployment!
This curve is pretty good. We'll get a Draven on his turn, get a 2-drop on our turn, and then have the option to Brothers Bond or Mystic Shot. Probably Brothers Bond.
Knocked and ready.
Wonder if he just drew that.
Draven!
Hey, kiddo. Dig your get-up.
But that would have been abysmal for us last turn, right?
Won't miss.
Would not have been happy with how that turn panned out. I'm going to go ahead and try to get a Frostbite here. I think the majority of the time he's going to have a Frostbite, but if he has to spend 3 mana to take down our 1-drop, then we're super happy with that outcome. We can just open into him now. This is kind of, again, if he plays like a Frostbite Archer or a Bull Elnic, it really just shuts down our attack, so we want to get this damage in while it's safe.
Faster than my arrow? I think not. Remember the objectives.
Don't quite have an answer to that, but it's not a huge problem for the time being.
The few for the many.
He's really not trying to be the aggro here. If you're familiar with where I talk about double bird being really good, it's spots like this. Like if he's just spent all 4 mana on Ash, say he spends all 5 mana on like I don't, Spirit Claw or Sign or whatever he's called. It's just such a big blowout for us to play like a double bird and hook both of his units. It's a fairly similar situation here. Interesting to see him think of attacking with Ash when he knows we have a free spinning axe in our hand.
Take you.
Show me a target.
Try me, I dare you.
This kinda looks like a harsh winds, but I am okay to Brother Spawn spinning axes board down and get this this 5 hit in again next turn. Okay, we're not gonna do it that way. Let's do it this way. Do we want to spread out the love or just boost Draven? I think we want to spread it out.
Now we're cooking.
Okay. Frostbite number 2. Okay, that was a physical Ash as well.
My aim is true.
Take my helmet.
Okay, still pretty great open this turn. We just need to get this extra damage in and then try to kill him with a Reckoner. It's kind of scary against a deck that should be full of Frostbites and stuns to try to be winning with this, but it's kind of the spot we're in. Maybe we shouldn't be protecting our Draven here. Entreat's fine. Oh, he's going to draw a Flash Freeze off of that probably, unless he picks up Yasuo.
The time is right. Strike now.
Not ideal, but it's okay. I was thinking maybe we should have just let this happen, because we'll probably be Mystic Shotting face, but it's okay.
The Sunbrock got me good.
And there's that. Do we want to do it now? Probably just never blocking next turn. Right, because if he has like crystal arrows, so we're gonna have to be doing open attacks on him. But if he gets an attack with that Ash, we just like can't block with Zonite Urchin. Well, it doesn't. But is that right? I don't think that's right. 0 power. Yeah. Don't care about Yasuo.
I salute you.
Sure. Why? Why would he do that here? Like, we care about this 4 damage never.
Blade never gets any lighter.
Okay. So we can just play Reckoner now.
Where are they?
All right. I don't understand that. Oh, sure. Wouldn't you rather just like AoE our whole board though? Like, I have to imagine like his preferred play here would be to like Crystal Arrow out our whole board and then kill our whole board with the Winter's Breath. That's okay. Maybe I'm missing something from his perspective.
These old eyes
Sure.
still see far and clear.
How danger does go ahead and add Heimer? Like, because I kind of want to get value out of this gotcha. Right, I think like
Eminently logical.
this is like the only way we ever lose here to like Battle Fury. I mean, he could like Harsh Winds our attack down next turn, which would be awkward. He's just got like some kind of expensive unit.
You have taken a dark path.
You never did believe me.
Heed my words!
A sturdy construction.
So don't super care about this attack anymore. The problem we start running into is if he has a Harsh Winds. It doesn't feel like he does the way he made that Winter's Breath Crystal Arrow play. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm certainly taking this 100% of the time. I kind of want to put damage on Yon so that when she blocks next turn we get some Overwhelms in and get the trade. And then the plan is that we're just going to hook Sentry. The kind of other side of the coin with this is like we're going to hook here with this. Maybe we just take this 10. Because this guarantees that we get an extra unit in combat. So we want this to look like this.
From blood, glory!
Can't attack with Heimer. This isn't a guaranteed win here.
Dishonorable.
Welcome to try.
With him blocking, I guess this is more of a Harsh Winds happening.
Your end is my duty.
Or at the very least like a Brittle Steel. For health. Okay.
I am ready.
Atonement.
Winter is the Freljord's true ruler.
Will you
Okay.
comply?
Or are you complicit?
Be super cool if we got a got a
The frost
detain out of
reveals
that.
all to
but
me.
Can't have it all. Did we just lose to this? I don't think so. 7. We could put 3 in front of it. Let's go ahead and get the unit.
And fire!
Don't approve of that. Where did LOR Guardian go? I didn't push a button. I was trying to think. It's like, do we have any more Mystic Shots? How do we get out of this? Okay, that'll do it. Good game, friend. Okay. So let's see. I don't really want two brothers bonds. I certainly don't want more Draven's biggest fans. I think I kind of do want this Whirling Death. We're kind of closing these games out with Overwhelms. We aren't getting in a lot of combats so we're going to save a unit with the Radiant. And I think we just kind of want the removal spell. So I think we're cool to pick that up. Our deck is a little spell heavy, but that doesn't fix any of the spell problems with those trades that we had. Okay. Look at that. Oh shit, I just saw Thresh has a higher win rate than Zed. Blows my mind. Oh shit. Alright. Well, here, I'll keep the succession. If we don't draw a 1, then is a reasonable 2 to keep our curve going. Is it Elise Katarina? Okay. Just straight up counterspell as Elise with succession. This is kind of interesting as to whether or not we want a Greenfang Warden or Draven. I think if we had Draven combos, we would want to play Draven, but as it stands, we should be just getting more damage out of this. So I think this is reasonable.
Lady Elise,
Okay.
where are you? You have to get me out of here.
Quickly, before they organize.
I guess he can't play like a he can't even play a 3/3 now. He could play even if he was like a Arachnoid Horror. I think that's completely fine.
Or the fallen!
We'll save this for a turn with Ranger's Resolve. What I have to imagine is supposed to happen here is he's going to like play an Elise and a Crawling Sensations and then get a big okay. That's another way to go about it. But I think, you know, if he's going to try to go wide with a Challenger board, then I think we should get a pretty strong Ranger's Resolve. Okay.
Good dog.
I'm going to play Peddler. I think we're pretty safe to just go ahead and eat this 3 damage. And then we're going to start getting spell value out of some of these cards. If he has another Brother's Bond, that's okay. But he has to have another Brother's Bond, right? Or why would he be making this attack? Mike, that's fine as well.
My pretties.
I think as long as we're doing a reasonable job and not dying, we should be able to take this over. Kind of the problem here being is we're running low on units in our deck that's a little spell heavy. Oh, buddy.
I know what
Okay.
lurks in the shadows.
Okay. Here's some meat to add to the board. Sure.
She does love visitors. The mom's still like a yodel in uniform.
That seems awful, but okay. We're gonna have to just like deal with 2 of his units here. I think the question is like, do we want to? We should probably just prevent this Elise from making a spider and then plan on blocking his spiderling. So let's go ahead and drop this gotcha. Then we'll be able to play a gigantic combination of Savage Reckoner plays next turn. It looks like it'll be short of lethal, but I mean, do we ever just want to go for it anyways? I think we can just we're gonna bank 1, with the idea being we can discard 2 cards to Spinning Axe, which would leave us 1 mana. I think we can just take this. This is gonna fall to 3 health, right? Then he's not gonna have blockers. He's pretty far away from like having scary Neverglade collectors. He just doesn't have enough units for that. Okay. We need to end this. These are like pretty high value cards with a Heimerdinger, but I think we just need to get this over with. We're going to get a good Ranger's Resolve here. Okay.
Come here.
We can only add in 2, 3, 4 damage. This is okay. The question becomes, do we want to give this tough to protect it from like a Vile Feast? I think we'll be okay without doing that. But are we ever gonna get a better Ranger's Resolve? We probably should let this slide, right? If he's going to have like a the cards that are kind of like scary for us, or if he has like black spears, we can protect our Heimerdinger. This is gonna immediately switch to being like a Heimerdinger play. Okay, so we can protect it now. Then we can keep Katarina out of combat next turn. This seems reasonable.
This might hurt.
Alright, because I assume that he's probably going to want to open with Katarina. How does this interact with Heimer? When cast or discarded? Okay, so it won't actually count as playing a spell if we discard it to Spinning Axe. There's no madness here.
They're afraid. They should be.
Hey, buddy, what you doing?
This is a little scary. But if like things start going wrong here, and he gets to return this Katarina, we can't just be taking this damage. So I think I'm okay with this. Like, if he had a Brother's Bond, he would have snapped it off. I think this is probably okay. Sure. Okay. Feeling a little better about the whole situation now.
Answers, I have them.
And we're going to Mushroom Cloud. And I think we just want to start Spinning Axing. We can do that in the next turn.
Just when I needed
We just have to hook this way over on the left. We're going to have access to zero cost spells to get Challenger turrets with. Oh god. I forgot that was a thing. Alright. Cool. Alright.
All me. And maybe those other guys. Whatever.
So let's see. I was having higher expectations out of this crowd favorite than we actually have been able to produce. I'm not like excited to pick these up. I'm cool with trading out the Investigator for the Radiant. We just don't have enough spells to pull this off. Would love to have more Mystic Shots, but I think our top end is kind of where we're lacking here, and I'm fine to pick her up. So. She doesn't play like super well in this kind of strategy. I'd rather that be like a like an armored elephant or just some kind of big bruisery overwhelm. But don't feel like we have a lot of A lot of choice in the matter. Here, this seems fine. Should perhaps look for something a little more aggressive, but like it's just like these. This is like the demolition. This is like the bottom end of our 2-drops, but I just don't think we can trade them away. Was this Lux Fiora? Lux Sejuani. Okay.
Track them down.
Sure.
To the field!
Then I was gonna risk it here anyways, but the gotcha makes this a little bit safer. You know, like the issue we would run into is if he plays like a that was the exact card I was thinking of. If he plays a Mage Seeker Investigator, then we kind of have to get into a bad combat with it. But like if this game ever goes late, we're just so hosed.
I'll turn the tide!
Okay.
We feast tonight, Varg.
I think we'll just take the damage from this. The idea here is we're going to play Crowd Favorite, then we're going to open on him next turn. Pretty good chance that he wants to put the Wolf Rider in front of our Crowd Favorite, and then we can just Whirl and Death it down. Actually have an opportunity to get huge damage in here if we want. Do we just go all in? Like Harsh Winds is scary here. But we don't have any follow-up plays behind anyways. So I think we want to do this. And then we want to use our weaker unit to hit this. So if he specifically has like the card Frostbite, then we should just be winning this combat either way. Man, that was a big blasting. That just went right.
Will you comply, or are you complicit?
Love it when he, more often than not, we like make these plays, and they just don't work out. Like I love getting to see it when the big play we're planning comes into action. Okay, this game's just over.
War Mason, reporting for duty. For the glory of Noxus.
Ride onward!
Okay. All right, boys, got him good. Is that win 5 or 6? Can't remember if we're jumping into the final battle here or not. Check those trades. Time for the final battle. All right. Tuner. I have more success with left back draft than I do in normal packs. But nonetheless, I don't. This is a touch awkward. Like I don't want Silverwing Diver in our deck, but our like unit spell count. It's not like super out of check, I guess. The Crowd Favorite's not good here. We want this Mystic Shot. I think this is fine. Definitely not getting rid of our Reckoner. Don't want to make any of these trades. We still do have like the discard combos with this guy. This is one of our better 2-drops. That's fine. Oh, that's tough. We don't need Thermogenic Beam here. We have the 2 Noxing Guillotines. If we had 0 guillotines, I would snap this off. If we had 1 guillotine, I would consider it. This would be a lot easier if it was with like a card down here, like Crowd Favorite, or one of these cards we aren't excited about, but Zonite Urchin's kind of one of the better units in our deck. But I'm happy to cycle out this Puffcat Peddler. We sort of have some synergies with it, but not enough to be excited about. Here, don't want to trade out any of these. I don't want more Draven's Biggest Fan. Succession is kind of tying up our early game, and don't want 2 brother spawns. So that's easy. City Breaker, we don't want you. Okay, I think we'll be happy to pick up this Mystic Shot. The Resolve is fine, but it's not as good as Mystic Shot, and they kind of fill the same cheap role. And here, trading out the Crowd Favorite for a burn spell seems pretty good. So let's go ahead and switch that off. Maybe we should actually just pick up this Iron Ballista. I don't want Plaza Guardian in our deck whatsoever. This is okay as a 4/3 Overwhelm. It's not as good as Iron Ballista at that stat point, as you can clearly see. I think we just kind of need these Overwhelms. We've really just, in these last few picks, we've really been able to kind of morph this into the aggro deck Overwhelm with Burn to finish. And I think this Iron Ballista will just fit that theme a little bit better. Right, because it's what we want to be doing in the best case scenarios. We just don't have like all the overwhelms to make it like readily apparent, and so, but I really don't want Plaza Guardian. I think this just like fits on theme more. Like I think adding in our first Iron Ballista is much bigger than adding in our first Get Excited when we already have 3 Mystic Shots. Like if like we had 0 or 1 Mystic Shots, I think this would be better, but I think this kind of fills in our deck's holes a little bit better. So let's jump in on that one. All right, let's get that final battle rolling. Same with these left pack drafts. I feel like there was a whole lot of like Scrapheap showing up in that left pack. I'm curious if there's you know, something going on with like the synergy picks or the wild picks as to where like the kind of the, I don't know, key card pool, if you will, whatever your deck most looks like, if that will kind of show up more over on that left side. Not sure how that pans out, because I have noticed that like that first champion you take seems to always appear in the left slot. I'm pretty sure that like the first champion you take appears in the left slot, the second champion you take appears in the middle one, and then the third one's kind of wild. So we should have been ending up knowing that we're going to end up in a 3 Draven 1 Heimerdinger deck, barring some kind of weird trade pick. But again, not 100% sure how that works out. That's weird. This guy wouldn't want 3 Callistas. I wonder if he actually started Malachite Thresh and picked up 2 Callistas. Interesting. Nonetheless, we need to curve. I don't feel like this is the kind of deck that's going to have a lot of units that we actually want to Mystic Shot, so I'm going to cycle that away and look for something to play on curve.
It's Draven time!
I wonder if 6 is enough to be at the point to where we would just cycle away the Draven to look for either a Biggest Fan or a Draven.
That egg. Did it move?
Not sure. This feels like we're going to get blown out, though. This hand does not do anything. There's kind of an argument to making the attack into this. If we just want to try to like keep his board clear, assume that we're going to be getting hit with Blighted Caretakers, perhaps take away his ability to play multiple Caretakers. It's probably not worth it, but it is a thought to consider.
Get me out of here.
And then, like, kind of like seeing him play the Prankster is kind of making me second guess myself. Like, I think, like, knowing that he was going to play Prankster, we probably just wanted to play Iron Ballista. Because I'm curious at this spot, if, like, can we ever beat a Neverglade Collector? And maybe probably not. And so, here, this is okay. He can hook in both of our units. We have to gotcha this Prankster, or there's no way that we win this game. There's an argument to play a unit, but I didn't really want my unit getting hooked here. But, I mean, we probably should have just prevented the damage.
Draven out.
Okay, we're still doing stuff at least. This doesn't seem like a super exciting ad here. I think we just want to get these in, and then we want to spike a do our best to spike what's it called, a thing if things go wrong, the radiant.
My saplings.
But things have gone right so far. Doesn't mean he won't drop like a Vile Feast or something here.
Round and round we go.
There is also another argument that we should have played this beforehand, but because things like that. But it's awkward there. There's a lot that he can do that makes, you know, that's one of the beauties of Runeterra is there's a lot that he could have done here that made it so our attacks were bad. Like, you know that the attack is good with the Draven and the thing, they could immediately get bad. But let's see if we can't spike an answer here real quick. Kind of okay. We're going to have a big scout attack next turn, and then we can also Reckoner into this with our second attack.
Everyone's a garden.
Didn't expect to see that happen. Like, we have to just block everything. I think we have to play a unit here. This is okay to add. He can still get in scout attacks next turn.
What do you see, boy?
But we're certainly taking 5. But I mean, it'll leave him with no board, which is, I'm pretty excited about. These attacks don't seem good. I would think he would want to keep one behind. Let's see if he's got the Black Spear here. If he doesn't have a Black Spear, then this should be pretty okay for us. He's got a Black Spear. I just did the mathematics. He certainly has one.
There.
Oh, interesting. A Vile Feast.
Quickly, before they organize.
Draven out?
So if he no blocks this, can we kill him next turn? We'll be looking at 10, 17, 21 damage. We could technically kill him next turn. If he no blocks. And Captain Farron, oh boy, boys. What's that, Grasp? Vengeance? Oh, Vengeance is fine. Okay, he's not doing anything else here. Alright, still in it. Beautiful.
Come here.
Just wanted to play.
Alright. This is looking like a big Captain Farron into opening next turn. Oh, snap. Okay. We can't risk him just sending it back. We have to play the captain. It sucks. Maybe we should have spinning axed before we played him. I didn't bother to count the number of cards in my hand. I'm okay with missing out on the card next turn. It's the card here that's a bit of a problem. We'll overdraw. It seems like this should be enough.
Join the conflagration.
He has to play some cards. We have 4 spinning axes and 2 decimates like this. He needs a lot to get out of this.
Come from the dark.
Okay. I think we'll take the safe route and just discard spinning axes. Maybe we should have just fully repped lethal here, but... Oh, we did. Okay. Oops. Alright, boys. Taking these left backers to 7. Nice. Nice little run. And so I'm glad to see that we can put things like this together. Even the run itself came together pretty fine, but in large part in these games we did do quite a lot of number one. Is this coming over? Here we go. We did do a lot of drawing Captain Farron. It feels like we solidly won like 4 games just on the back of him, and so that was a thing. But even like our trade picks didn't have a whole lot to do with how the makeup of this deck came together. It did have a lot of because we had to spend a lot of our picks just taking bad cards out of our deck for mediocre cards. We didn't do a whole lot of taking, mediocre cards out of our deck for great ones, or, making kind of like a mediocre swap to improve our curve. But nonetheless, our curve is pretty reasonable here. In the grand scheme of things, I would prefer to end up with more 1-drops. But, what is kind of like the big problem with these drafts and what we ended up with here is our top end was just extremely good. This is just kind of how you want it. Maybe not specifically the cards that we have here, but Captain Farron and Savage Reckoner, the 6/5 Elephant, these big overwhelms at the top end are pretty interchangeable. Is Captain Farron better than all of them? Yes. Did we win 1 or 2 of those games where if Captain Farron was an overwhelm elephant, we would have lost, or it would have been closer? Yes, that's also the case. But in general, if you're, just assembling these aggressive Noxus decks together, this is actually, pretty close to what we're wanting it to look like. Our curve looks pretty reasonable, assuming that, we didn't actually pick anything. We prefer it to be just kind of like the downward sloping, almost just pointed at it like this, so you can see it like this. Up here on the mana curve on the right, like you want the 1s to be higher and the 3s to be lower and the 4s to be lower. You want it to be just kind of a downward right curve that kind of flattens out here from the 4-drop on. But it came together pretty okay. And I was glad that, we kind of got to explore some of these themes, and that, the ideal of the scrap heap, where we're making spinning axes. We're getting to use the urchin and the sump dredger to discard things like puff caps, or we're discarding our spinning axes to these other mentioned cards like the urchin. The idea kind of came together. We had some things that we wanted to happen with, like going wide, that didn't really fulfill themselves, but I think we did the scrap heap thing pretty well, and then we kind of topped this off as like a Nox and Might deck. And so I thought this turned out to be a pretty interesting run. I had some fun with it. Seven win was 1 loss with the left packer. Maybe we got to reevaluate how we draft and just take these left packs more often, because I've done 2 when we've 7-1 both of them, and so that's just the way it is sometimes. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good run. I like to do these since kind of like I said at the beginning, it's as far as really delving into the strategy of Rising Tides drafts. The new set comes out in a couple weeks, and that's if you're watching this a week after it airs and you only have a week of Rising Tides left, then the value there isn't super full. But on the other side of the coin, like the scrap heap deck isn't going to change too much with the new set coming out, and so I still think some of these older videos have some value if you're new to the channel. And so they're there if you're wanting to get a primer on the scrap heap kind of themes. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for this one. I guess there's a reward thing here. Let me see what we got. Some kind of shark thing. I can't switch away. I think I'm still using that red. He looks like the red mage from Final Fantasy. I think that's what we're still using. He's pretty cool. What can I say? Don't use emotes. That is that. But hey, we'll start to have rewards again here in a couple of weeks when the new sets comes out. Seeing that they'll have a new region road for us to tackle, even though ours is completely full here. But that's going to do it for this run. I hope you guys enjoyed the run, learned something along the way, had a little bit of fun. This is Free to Play Bust, and thank you for being here.